Okay, I'm going to try to get this back. Alright, we're going to wrap this up. Bear with me just for family. Okay. Bear with me here just for a sec. No, I don't mean to do that. Let's do this. I'm just trying to get the scriptures back up. Just bear with me while I do that. Okay. Alright, so let's see. I'm gonna go to Katsun, chapter 14. It's Revelation chapter 14. We're gonna wrap up with this. Revelation chapter 14. I'll put it on the screen here in a moment. Mashmaka. Okay, Revelation chapter 14. Let me just check to make sure everybody can see. Alright. Okay, Tada Mashmaka, Tada family. Alright, so we're going to wrap up here in Revelation chapter 14. So as we go to chapter, so one more thing we want to look at concerning the 144,000, and it is found in Revelation chapter 14, Katsun chapter 14. Now remember, at the beginning of our study, I said to you, family, that it's important to note that the scriptures are not recorded in chronological order. And that is the same is true concerning the book of Katsun, the book of Revelation. Now, also in chapter 7, as we were in chapter 7, I pointed out to you that contrary to what Christianity have taught us, that you see the crowd, the great multitude dressed in white, Christianity told us that they were around the throne in heaven, in Shamayim. That's not true. Okay, now we're about to see that's not true. And again, when we realize that the scriptures are not recorded, jotted down in chronological order, when we understand that, that's really a big step forward, because it helps us to understand things better, you see. And so now what we're going to see is, so actually chapter 14 of Katsun, Revelation, and chapter 7 actually goes together. Chapter 7 and chapter 14 actually goes hand in hand, you see. They're sequential. Okay, so now what you're going to see is just a continuation of that picture, a continuation of that vision, a continuation of that prophecy, the very same prophecy, and it's going to give you more details. Okay, now so let's finish looking at the 144. And I looked and saw, this is Katsun, Revelation chapter 14, beginning in verse 1. And I looked and saw a lamb, and I saw not a lamb, but the Lamb standing on Mount Zion. Where's he standing? Mount Zion. And with him 144,000, having his Father's name written upon their foreheads. Now remember, in chapter 7, where Yahuah's messenger came and sealed the 144,000. This 144,000 are those who are left over from the great persecution after the awakening. And so here they are standing on Mount Zion, same place they were standing in chapter 7, with a great multitude that surrounded them, dressed in white, with Yahuah seated on the throne. Okay, and so, and I looked and saw the Lamb standing on Mount Zion, and with him 144,000, having his Father's name written upon their foreheads. And I heard a voice out of Shamayim, like the voice of many waters, and like the voice of loud thunder. And I heard the sound of harpists playing their harps. And they sang a renewed song before the throne, and before the four living creatures, and the elders. And no one was able to learn that song, except the 144,000 who were redeemed from the earth, or through great tribulation. Now they're on the earth, because where are they standing? On Mount Zion. Okay, you see, the translation kind of will mess you up if you're not paying attention, right? They are those, this 144,000. So the so this is another fact about the 144,000. They are those who were not defiled with women, and you know this defilement with women, it's not unlimited too. But they're not defiled with the woman, the harlot, the church, and they're not whores also. They don't run around laying around with women. How are you defiled with women? If you have a wife, your wife does not defile you, right? You're defiled if you are a harlot. So some people say that these are men who were not married. So to be married is to be defiled by a woman. That's Catholic doctrine. That's not scriptural truth. You see. Yes. So not defiled with women, if it is that they are outright virgins, what it is saying is that for a man who is married, then he is defiled. That's not according to the scriptures. Yahuah said, what did Yahuah say? Say it's not good for man to be alone. Right? So if to be married is to be defiled, that means that a whole lot of men shouldn't even be in the kingdom if they're married. Married men shouldn't be in the kingdom because you're defiled. So this speaks of idolatry. It speaks of idolatry, you see. And it also speaks, I believe, it also speaks of adultery, whoring. It speaks of whoring. But the key here is idolatry. You see, no harlot, no whore will make it in the kingdom of Yahuah. So no man or woman running around playing the harlot, running around having relations without being married. That's unacceptable. But the key here really is idolatry. So they're not defiled by paganism, by heathenism. They're not defiled by any of that. You see, they are set apart unto Yahuah. These 144,000. They did not become defiled in idolatry. They kept themselves set apart. You see, they were living a set apart life. Does that mean that they were never caught up in it? Never got caught up in it? No, yeah, that don't necessarily mean that. But at this time, they're living set apart unto Yahuah. Yahuah delivered them. Yahuah awakened them. They received the seed. They received the word, and the word cleansed them. You see. They are those who were not defiled, for they are maidens spiritually, right? They are set apart, cleansed. They are those following the Lamb wherever he leads them on. They were redeemed from among men, being first fruits of Elohim and to the Lamb. Elohim, the Lamb. Not and to the Lamb, but first fruits of Elohim, the Lamb. Because Elohim and the Lamb is one and the same. Christian translation, Christian indoctrination. And in their mouth was found no falsehood, for they are blameless before the throne of Elohim. And I saw another messenger flying in mid-Shamayim, holding the everlasting Bashurah, the good news to announce to those dwelling on Arats, even to every nation and tribe and tongue and people, saying with a loud voice, fear Elohim and give esteem to him, because the hour of his judgment has come. The hour of his judgment has come. You know what judgment that is now? Judgment upon the wicked. And worship him who made Shamayim and Arats and sea and fountains and water. And another messenger followed, saying, Babal is fallen, that great city, because she has made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her whoring. And the third messenger followed him, saying with a loud voice, if anyone worships the beast and his image, and receives his mark upon his forehead or upon his hand, He also shall drink of the wine of the wrath of Alakim, which is poured out undiluted into the cup of his wrath, and he shall be tortured with fire and sulfur before the set apart messengers and before the Lamb. Now, he shall be tortured with fire and sulfur. Now, I know that the whole that whole thing of hell, burning hell, flames of fire, and so on. I know where that come from. I'm not sure how much of this belong here. I know that the wicked will be tortured. You see, hell is not real, but the wicked will be tortured. The wicked will be tormented, is what I should say. Justice will be served on the wicked. You see. So it's not a matter of torture. It's not like, you see, Yahuah don't think like man. I'm talking Jamaican now. Think. Yahuah don't think like man. Yahuah don't act like wicked man. When Yahuah avenges his people, takes vengeance on the wicked, what Yahuah is bringing is justice. He is not like a wicked person that sits around and for fun just torture people. Yahuah don't torture. Yahuah brings justice. Okay? Yahuah give you what you deserve. That's why he says, behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me, and I will reward every man according to his works, whether his deeds are good or evil. So, Yahuah don't just sit around and torture the wicked. He bring justice to the wicked. And he judges and punishes according to your crime, according to your transgression. That's how Yahuah deals with wickedness. He's not one who just, torture people for no reason. He is a just Alakim. You see? Yes. And then it's lights out forever. The beautiful thing is, for the people of Yahuah, is that we get to live with him forever. The wicked perishes and suffers and then is no more. The wicked is tormented and then is no more. That's what the scriptures say. But we, those who will live forever, and let me say this, let me put it this way, even as I talk about we, let me put it this way. Those who endure to the end, I pray that Yahuah help me to endure to the end. I don't know. I pray Yahuah help me to endure to the end. Those who endure to the end will have the benefit of living in the esteem of Yahuah, in the kabad of Yahuah forever. And that is a beautiful thought. So, family, the 144,000 are those who are left over after the awakening and the uprising of the wicked against the people of Yahuah. Those who after the seed have been sown, after the word have been sown, and after there has been a great awakening in the valley, in Big Valley as I like to call it, and the people have been awakened, those who have oppressed us, they will become petrified and paranoid. And in response to their petrification and their paranoia, they will rise up against the people of Yahuah, and they will seek to torture, slaughter, and they'll seek to do us like never before, just like we see in Babal and in Matzrayim, where they targeted those that were awakened. So that's what's coming. But the people of Yahuah must become familiar with death. The people of Yahuah must become knowledgeable of death and know that we do not need to fear death, but we can embrace death. We need not fear the one who can only harm the body temporarily. But we need to fear the one who, after he has destroyed this flesh, has the power to resurrect it and to torment and to leave you in torment, at least for some time, great torment. And so you see, we need not fear death, you see. And so for the set apart people, even when the wicked rise up to torment and to torture and to kill us, death is a baraka, you see. Death is a baraka. And in that day, may Yahuah give us the strength to say, we will not bow, O King, because Yahuah is able to deliver. But even if he don't, we will not bow. Just like our ancestors, the three Abari young men said to Nebuchadnezzar, let it be so. Hallelujah. Well, family, that is it concerning the 144,000. I don't know if there are any comments or questions. If there are, by all means, please feel free, family, to raise your flag. And yes, go ahead, Aki.
Yes. Shabbat. I mean, not Shabbat, but shalom to everybody.
Yes, indeed. Shalom, Aki.
Yeah, hey. It touched home. I understand completely.
Praise Yahuah. Completely. Praise Yahuah. Praise Yahuah. Praise Yahuah. And I want to say to that to you for recommending that this lesson, this reflection. I believe it's important because so much distortion have been put out there, and our people have been so spooked by Christianity and its nonsense, and so it's very important. So I want to say to that to you again, Aki.
Thank you to that.
Praise Yahuah.
Praise Yahuah. A question real quick.
Yes.
Well, not actually a question, but yeah, it is a question. I was in discussion with a friend of mine, and we were talking about the importance of Yahuwah's name and his character, and he was saying that basically, Yahuwah understands our hearts, and we know that to be true, and basically the character of Yahuwah is what's most important, and really not his name. And I'm saying no. His name is his character, and those who, and I'm saying to him, he was saying that those people that died didn't know his name would be with him, even though, but they knew his character, but didn't know his name. And I said, I don't know about all that. I just kind of disagree with that. And so, what does the scriptures say on that? Because we did touch on it yesterday about the importance of Yahuwah's name. His name, a person's name is his character. I mean, all you got is your word and your name.
Yes, indeed. And Aki, that's a great question, Aki. And I'm glad you asked that question because again, there goes the lies of Christianity deceiving our people. Christianity, we touched on that, like I said yesterday, where all of a sudden somehow the name made no more important. But all you got to do is do a study on the name and realize that the name of Yahuwah is important. It is critically important. And the scriptures make it clear that there is no salvation without the name. There is no salvation without his name. The scriptures make it clear time and time again. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of scriptures about the importance of Yahuwah's name. Just that they've been dumbed down. So,
exactly.
Yes. So now, I'm sorry, go ahead, Aki.
And I was trying, and I was going to point out to something. I said, how is it that you're going to understand somebody's character but not know their name? And you think Yahuwah is going to allow people to die just, knowing his character but not knowing his name? I said, come on, man. I said, Yahuwah is Yahuwah. I mean, Yahuwah. See, what I understand is that, maybe him and others, that they don't understand that Yahuwah don't is not a man like us. His thoughts are not our thoughts, and his ways are not our ways.
That's right.
And they don't put that in perspective when they come across to think about how Yahuwah will conduct himself. You know?
Indeed. The thing I like to point out to people like that when they say things like that is take them back to the writings. And what we find is that throughout history in the scriptures, when you read Yahuwah, when judgment come upon Yahusha, it's always that many simply perish. Yahuwah says, for a lack of knowledge, my people perish. And because you rejected me, because you rejected my Torah, I will reject you, and I will reject your children and your children's children. And so, when we lose the knowledge, we perish. And Yahusha, when judgment come upon them, many of them simply perish. Now, we can go back to Noah, right? In Noah's time, there were a lot of people living in the earth. But how many of them actually were saved?
8.
8 of them. That means, I would say, hundreds of thousands or millions died. Right? They simply perished. Why? Because they refused to receive the name of Yahuwah. They refused to call upon Yahuwah. They just refused Yahuwah. And some didn't even know his name. So only 8 were delivered. Now, let's fast forward. Let's go to Matzrayim, when the people of Yahusha were in Matzrayim. People of Yahusha were in Matzrayim for 430 years. And for 400 years, nobody knew his name. What happened to them? They did not, the scripture tells us that they did not know Yahuwah. Okay? And so when Yahuwah sent his servant now to deliver them, he had to introduce himself. He had to reintroduce himself to them. That's why Masha said, who shall I say sent me? Yahuwah says, Ashar, meaning, first of all, they must know that I exist. So he says, tell them I exist. Because those who come to him must know that he exists. You got to know that he exists in order to come to him. So the first thing he had to tell them was that the one who exists sent me. The one who has always exists, and the one who will always exist, it is he that sends me, and Yahuwah is his name. So first tell them I exist, and then tell them my name, because my name is necessary for their salvation. You see. So for 400 years, what happened to those people? They perished. Because what were they worshiping? They weren't worshiping Yahuwah. They were worshiping the calf. They were worshiping the idols of Matzrayim. You see. And they simply perished. So it's not... That's just the way it is, you see. That's just the way it is. When we turn our backs on Yahuwah, Yahuwah gives us over to ourselves, then we perish. But then there comes a time when Yahuwah turns his face back to us. As it says in Yahuah chapter 54, and also in the book, or 57 somewhere, and also in the book of Malachi, where he talks about how he, the Father, would turn his face back to his children and turn the hearts of the children back to him. Until that happens, the children simply perish because they won't know him, they won't know his name. I'm sorry, go ahead, Aki.
Yes. Somebody else was speaking?
Oh, no, I was just telling you. I'm sorry, but go ahead. I was telling you, go ahead.
Yeah, so their argument is going to be, well, the character, they understand the character of Yahuwah, but didn't know his name. But the character is more so important, and as long as they knew his character, then that he understands Yahuwah winked at their ignorance. And then I said, yes, he did. But I said, what did he say afterwards? And he said, and Yahuwah said, and all shall repent and know his name, and confess and know his name in the end. So falls back to knowing Yahuwah's name.
Yes.
And so
But here's the fallacy. Here's the fallacy in that. If you don't know his name, you don't know his character. And so for the people who claim that they didn't know his name but they knew his character, ask them what they think about his Torah. And what they're going to tell you is this Torah is done away with. It's no longer valid. Well, that's not true, is it? So how can you live your life believing and living against this Torah? Living saying that it's no good, that it's bondage, that it needs to be thrown out, it ain't no good for you. How can you live your life knocking his instructions, but somehow when his instructions is him, you see? So how can you live your life knocking him and then claim know his character, but you didn't know his name, but you knew his character? You knocked him the whole time. You see?
Right.
It doesn't work.
Okay, Aki. I'm off
Praise
to that.
God and to that, Aki. Great insight. Great, just great points that you brought forward. And that Aki Rob said, and by the way, shalom to you, Aki, and the Kushar. Not only did they not know his name, but they are and were worshiping another. Absolutely. Not only did they not know his name, but they were and are worshiping another. You see, and that's bottom line. You see, in our ignorance, we weren't worshiping Yahuah. We were worshiping idols, family. You see, this is what we have to understand. Yahusha have always worshipped. Yahusha is a worshiping people. Yahusha have always worshipped. But don't let the worship fool you. The question is, who were they worshiping? Who are they worshiping? Yahusha, they are always worshiping. There is never a time in the history of Yahusha that you find them not worshiping. You see, Yahusha have always worshipped. The problem is that a lot of times it's not Yahuah that they worship. They worship Zeus, they worship Asherah, they worship all kinds of stuff. They turn their backs on Yahuah many times, but they've always worshipped, just like today. Absolutely. Let me go to Aki one Yahoo. Please go ahead, Aki.
Shalom, family.
Shalom to you, Aki. Wonderful to hear you. Long time no hear.
Yes, everything good, my brother.
Yes, everything good.
Everything good. Yes. I heard what the Aki were asking before on the what he was saying that he was talking with some other colleague of him concerning what we are talking right now about Mizraim. You mentioned that these people were or we were in slavery for 430 years, and that they were doing evil by worshiping other mighty ones, right?
That's right.
Yes, and that they perish, right?
That's right, Aki.
Yes. I was thinking that yes, you're totally right, because when Jacob and is all the 12 tribes were just came into Mizraim, they know his name totally. They know Yahuwah's name, and they were worshiping Yahuwah, right?
That's right.
In all those years, they start to learn different things and start to forget Yahuwah, right?
That's right.
So is your argument is totally and 100% right, and I did not understand it until today, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Praise Yahuwah. Praise Yahuwah. Aki. Praise Yahuwah. Praise Yahuwah. But that is indeed so. That's what happened. That's what happened. Just like here in America, just like here in America, and wherever we are scattered, not just in America, but wherever we're scattered, we're living the same nightmare. We don't realize it's a nightmare. We think it's a dream. That it's a nightmare. Yes, indeed. Yes, sir. But you know, Yahuah is sympathetic and he is merciful. He out of his favor is great favor and then his sympathy and his empathy. He turns back to his people and turns the heart of his people back to him. You see. Yes. The American nightmare, right?
One more thing, Aki.
Yes, go ahead, Aki.
And yesterday when we were going over in Yahuah 44, and when Yahuah was talking to those who believe, I got my grapes, I got my vineyards, I got everything going on, this, that, and other, as they were, they offerings and everything to the Queen of Heaven, and so forth. And that is what we have today.
Yes.
Of our people, and that's what I tell a lot of friends, I tell a lot of people that right now,
yes.
and I mean that's where we are.
Indeed.
As a nation of people. Yes.
Indeed, Aki. Indeed. I see Aki Roberts' flag. Please go ahead, Aki.
Can I be?
Yes.
Can I be heard?
Yes, you can, Daddy. Yes, you can.
Shalom, family.
Shalom, Mashpaka.
Shalom. Wonderful to hear you guys.
And ditto, Aki. Hey, Aki, it's a crude analogy, but, much like in years past when these folks did not pay homage to Nebuchadnezzar, and there was obvious consequences, the furnace. When you really think about this Colin Kaepernick thing right now,
yes.
Which personally, I think it's outstanding what this man has done to stand up for what he believes in and the injustices. But the point I'm trying to convey is, when you were talking about Nebuchadnezzar. And of course, hey, you either, bow down to me or, you have the consequences of the furnace. The country is doing the same thing,
yes,
to anyone that is not pledging allegiance, in the form of finances.
Yes.
I mean, there have been many of the athletes that are have stood up and joined Colin Kaepernick, and they've suffered financial losses. They've lost sponsorships, millions and millions of dollars, because they didn't bow down and pay homage like years past Nebuchadnezzar wanted his people to do. So and again, I don't know if I'm making any sense here, but when I'm trying to is that I'm looking in today's day and age, and I'm seeing the same thing that Nebuchadnezzar was doing, yes. That this country is doing to its citizens. Yes. I mean, we have First, Fifth, and Eighth Amendment rights. Yes. We have the right, whether we want to pledge allegiance to the flag or we don't. And we shouldn't have to suffer consequences as a result of it. And to just go on a little further, it's just I'm seeing now that high school students, college students, I think it's awesome. Yes. What one man has done has sent a ripple through this country, yes. And maybe it will wake us up. But yes. I was telling my wife today, but it still isn't stopping these police officers killing black youths, killing black people for no reason whatsoever. And it's just blowing me away. It really is.
The two that they just killed.
Yeah, because I was talking to my wife about this. They just killed he was 13 years old. He had a BB gun. And then there was there was another black person that was killed by two white officers because he wasn't following their commands and he was going to his car. I mean, it's I find it incredulous that this is, you would think that now that they have all these video cameras and now that it's starting to get publicized, what white cops have been doing for years and getting away with it, now, you would think that they'd come to a halt because, hey guys, we could be on candid camera. If it wasn't for someone videotaping Rodney King, I mean, that stuff has just been going on for years and decades.
Yes,
But
indeed.
now with the technology, you would think that these police officers would get smart and say, okay, because let's be honest with it, Aki, these police officers, they think that I hate to use the terminology, but they think they're gods. They think that
Yes.
whatever they do, they can get away with murder, and they have been for years. But you would think with the technology now that we could stop that.
Yes.
But I'm just again, and I hate to belabor the point, but I can't say enough good things about Colin Kaepernick
Yes, indeed.
and what one man against the world started, and now hopefully the ripple effect will do some good
Yes.
and be some semblance of justice in the future for innocent folks that are getting killed for no reason at all because of the pigmentation of their skin.
Yes.
I find it's just awesome. I mean,
Who is
awful.
Colin Kaepernick?
Okay, baby, he's the quarterback of the San Francisco
Oh
49ers.
gosh,
Okay.
okay.
All right. Actually, he beat out Alex Smith for the job, who's
Okay.
now the quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs. But anyways, Aki, the only other thing I wanted to say is that I did want to also give you my input about the fact that I'm just very, very disappointed to hear about Key Will, and that was devastating.
Yes.
That was it absolutely was like putting a bullet in my brain. I had no inclination, when I came into this truth. I talked to a Key Will, and he educated me with respect to getting closer to Yahuah and his Torah, and to find out what what my wife played back for me last night when I came home from work.
Yes.
I wanted to throw up. I mean, it absolutely just blew me away, sir. Anyways, sorry to be so long-winded.
No, you haven't been long-winded, Aki, and I want to take a moment to express my appreciation of you, Aki Rob, my love for you, and uh, my uh, my appreciation. And there's a word that I'm looking for. There's a word that I'm looking for. Um, Admiration. Uh, Admiration, in the sense of uh, recognizing the person that you are, one who I've always, since I've known you, you have been forthright and honest. You're one that you're not afraid to say, this is where I am, and I'm working toward getting to this place ever since I've known you, and I love that and I appreciate that. And your love for people and for justice, it always shines through. And I want you to know that you are greatly appreciated. And I talk in this room a lot about injustice, and every time I talk, I know I run the risk of offending people, and I try to make sure that people understand, everyone understand, that my intent is not to offend, but I have to speak about injustice, speak against injustice. And I recognize that not everybody who is not of the same complexion as I am is unjust, you see, and is wicked. And if it wasn't for people like Aki Robert, our people would be utterly and totally destroyed. And so I just want you to know that uh, I appreciate you, Aki. Um, The situation with Aki Will, it goes back for several months. I've been talking to Aki Will and responding to things that he's been posting on Facebook without ever saying anything in the room about it. And the things that he's been posting has been troubling to me. And the last video he posted where it was no longer a conversation between him and I at that point. I just basically responded to the video and told him exactly how I saw it. Was not interested at that point in having a conversation with him. I just wanted him to know what I saw him to be. And that's where that is. But you know, Aki, it's unfortunate that things can be that way. But there are some things that are deeply seated and deeply rooted, because of years and generations of things being the way they have been. And sometimes I don't know. Sometimes I don't know. Individuals might try to walk away from it, or maybe it's something else that motivate them why they seem to appear to walk away. But whatever the case is, you know, I am also deeply disappointed concerning that. But I think it was disingenuous, you know. Nonetheless, it is what it is. So I appreciate you, Aki. I really do, and I appreciate your words. And concerning what you said just now about Colin Kaepernick and what's happening, like you say, it's no different. It's the same thing. You see, it's being thrown in the fire. You know, it is being taxed for standing up for what's right. You know, and I appreciate that, man. I really do, because he has taken a stand that a whole lot of people are unwilling to take, and he has inspired others to take a stand for what's right. You mentioned schools. I posted a link to an article about a school not far from where I am, a Catholic school that told the kids, the black kids who play football on their team, and their coaches, they made an announcement. They say, if any student or any coach refuse to stand for the national anthem and to salute the flag, they will be expelled, is what they said. You see, and that to me is just ridiculous. Now, my question is, to any black person who send their kids to Catholic school, why would you even do that to begin with? I don't trust a priest no further than I can see him. As far as I'm concerned, they belong in jail. They're child molesters. They're rapists, you see. Now, I'm not saying all of them are, but they might as well all be, because they all know what goes on, and they all kept quiet, you see. So even if all of them don't do it, they're all guilty. They knowingly transport these little perverts around. You see, move them from place to place, knowingly. You see, I would never even dare think of putting my kids in a school like that. They wouldn't even have the opportunity of telling me, if my kid don't stand up, I'm going to expel them. You see. But it is what it is, right? But to think that there are people, and I don't know if you were here earlier when I was talking, Aki, about being in Home Depot, running into two white men today who were jumping over this young black kid, probably 19 years old the kid was. And so I couldn't help but get in the conversation, and to see the level of denial, you know, that they expressed, it was just crazy, you know. But unfortunately, it is what it is. And the reason why cops continue to do what they do is because the system ensures that they get away with murder. You see, racism is a system, and the system is perfected in this country. That's what has ran this country ever since its beginning. Racism, you see. The police, go ahead, babe. Yes, and from these people, my wife was saying, What was crazy is to see the lack of sympathy and empathy, from these people. Yeah, just no regard. They were angry, that anybody wouldn't stand for the national anthem and the flag, and just in total denial. I see a coup. Yes, it's just not acceptable. Yeah. I see Akut Al Yashaba's flag. Please go ahead, Akut.
Well, I hope I can be heard. I hope this mic is going to act okay. Can
Yes,
I be heard, family?
yes, you can, Akut.
Oh boy. Maybe I better talk fast before it conks out on me. Yes, you're absolutely right. This system here, it's really the cops. Really are the KKK. Really, without hoods. That's what they are. And instead of lynching, what they do now is they shoot. The same difference, same thing. And it's never stopped. And as you were saying, if it were not for people like Robert, we would have all been dead a long time ago, But as people that stand up for truth, like Robert. And as far as Aki Will is concerned, it's amazing. I have known for a long time in my spirit that he was disingenuous. I've known it wasn't a surprise to me at all, and I'm surprised that it didn't happen sooner. But I always felt that something was wrong. I can even hear it in his voice when he speaks. So no surprise to me. But then I had spoke to him often, so I had more opportunity to notice that in him. So it didn't come as a surprise. But I thank Father for the lesson today. Thank you, Aki Keenan, for bringing up the subject matter. I have two questions. I don't want to. I don't quite understand. If it can be answered quickly, okay. But if not, that's all right. The 144,000 and the multitude, those two groups, and that will they? My understanding is that they will meet up on Mount Zion.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So that's correct.
Yes, that is correct, Akut.
Okay. And then my other question is knock. I'm just wondering why that account shows up in other nations. Also, it's an account that's ongoing in many civilizations. With this, it varies the way it's told,
Yes.
but that account of knock is very, very prevalent in other nations. So
Yes.
I'm just wondering why that is.
Yes.
And let me see if there's anything else I need to ask while I'm on here. I guess that's it. That puzzles me why that keeps recurring.
Yes.
And again, wonderful lesson. I'm just so happy to have that cleared up because I wasn't sure. I knew the 144,000 were the leftovers, but I didn't know about the great multitude. And as you say, the scriptures do not always read chronologically. So praise Father and Tuda for another great teaching, Aki.
Praise Father Akut, praise Yahuah. And you brought up a very interesting and important question there also concerning the account of Nak and how it appears in among different peoples, among different civilizations. In some cases slightly different, but yet it appears among many different civilizations. It appears you find it with of course the Egyptians, you find it with the Chinese, you find it with the Indians, you find it with other ancient peoples. It appears in among many peoples in maybe slightly different ways. So let's rewind back up for a moment. I'm not going to go into any great details, but so let's go back to the account of Nak for a second. When Yahuah spoke to Nak, there was not a nation chosen. There was not a nation chosen. Yahuah was dealing with his creation in general, right? So when Yahuah spoke to Nach, there was no Yasharal. Yahuah was speaking to his creation in general. Now you realize how then you would find that spread out to different nations, right? Because it was after the flood. It was after the flood that the earth was repopulated. And it was the people that were a part of the flood that repopulated the earth. So imagine now the nations, the earth being repopulated by these people. And wherever these people now branches off into, they begin to retell the story. And the story is now carried on from nation to nation, right? Different lineages. And as it goes into these different lineages, nations develop their own kind of beliefs, and stories tend to change the more they are retold. And so I believe that's why you have the different variations to the story. There is something else about the story of Nach, the account of Nach, that I know that it probably raise some eyebrows, draw some heat, or whatever the case might be, even when I say this. But there's something about the account of Nach too that perhaps Yahuah recorded that account more so for the how should I put it, the spiritual truth in it, right? There are a couple things. Either when the flood took place, there was not as many animals on the earth, or it's more so to convey a spiritual message. Because if there were as many animals on the earth, think about this now. In Sunday school, you're taught that only 2 of every kind of animals were taken into the ark. But when you read it for yourself, you realize that's not what's recorded. It says 2 pairs of unclean and 7 clean animals of every kind were taken into the ark. So of the clean, 7 were taken into the ark. Every animal, 7 of each clean animal. And of the unclean, 2 pairs. So 4 of every unclean animal were taken into the ark. And then you consider the dimensions of the ark that is recorded, and you got to wonder, if there was as many animals on the earth, could they all fit? You see. So could it be that the account is there? Yes. The clean was for food, sacrifices, and for continuation. The unclean was for continuation. So 2 pairs of each was 4 of each unclean were to be taken in. So if we get honest, when it comes to the scriptures, people like to stay stuck in tradition and not really ask honest questions. But I believe that some parts of that account is there more so because when the story of Nach is all about redemption, salvation, preservation of a remnant. You see. That's really what, yes. So could it be that for the most part it's an allegory to mankind? You see. So yes, it would be spelled Nach, as in N-A-C-H. That's right, Aki. So but those are things to ponder. Again, I don't have all the answers, but I like to ask questions. Um, you know, uh, but yeah. So those are just some of the things I ponder sometimes. You know, um, but uh, but that may be a coot why there is so many variations. Again, because the earth was replenished based on the number of people that came out. But here's another thing, and it's not just the earth was replenished, because here's another thing. This is something else I meant to say. The flood of Nach. Um, when I look at the language of the scriptures, it seemed there is a possibility that the flood that's spoken of concerning Nach really was focused on a particular area and not so much the entire earth. There have been many floods throughout the earth. Now, Christianity like to put it like the one flood affected the whole earth, but the language of the text, because you see, when you see arats in the scriptures, arats is an interesting word. Sometimes arats is speaking about a particular poor place. For example, if you go to Deuteronomy chapter 12, where it's translated as the soil, it's talking about a particular place. You see, a particular portion of land. You see, so there's also the possibility too that the flood impacted a certain region, and that possibly it's not a global thing. Imagine now if the flood is global. Now you have animals coming from every corner of the earth, traveling to get to where Nach was. Okay? Because you got to understand that not all animals on the face of the earth live everywhere on the earth. Animals are specific to locations. You see. And so, something to think about. And again, as you study the text, seemed to suggest to me as I study it that the flood was more dealing with a particular geographical area. You see. So those are just some of the things that I've seen in my studies and my pondering. Let me go back to Aki, Rob, and Akut Shar. Please go ahead, Aki or Akut.
Okay, it's me, Aki. Shalom,
Shalom,
everyone.
Akut. Shalom.
Okay, Aki, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. I was just saying shalom.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Okay, I have a question, and I don't know if it probably is getting off of this topic.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Second Esdras,
Mm-hmm.
verses 24. Oh, chapter 1, verse 24.
Okay.
My question is, what was Yahuwah who was Yahuwah talking to or speaking about when he said, what shall I do unto you, O Jacob? And you, Yahudah, would not obey me. I will turn me to other nations, and unto those I will give my name, that they may keep my statutes. Now, was he referring to somebody like when he said other nations and they will keep his statutes, like Lou White, people like that, those nations that are calling themselves keeping his statutes and they have his name?
Great question. I think Lou White is a bad example, but yeah, because Lou White, you see, what Yahuwah was talking about, yeah, people of other nations, literally, not to give his name to whole nations, but remnants of other nations, right? To provoke his people, Yasharal, to jealousy. Um, because Yasharal, the two houses, turned their backs on Yahuwah, so that's so Yahuwah would bring others, you see. And Yahuwah says in his word, I have others who are not of this house, of this nation, of this fold. So Yahuwah has always made a place for foreigners who are willing to obey and to take hold of his instructions. And Yahuwah would use them to provoke Yasharal to jealousy. Um, uh, just as he used the house of Yahakab to provoke the house of Yahuda to jealousy. So you are correct, Akut. I wouldn't use Lou White as an example because Lou White, here's the thing. If you're going to...
I shouldn't have said Lou White, but I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
trying
I got
to
the
know what
point.
I was.
Yeah, I got the point. Yeah, but here's the issue with Lou White and why I say not Lou White. Because Lou White denied that the people of the scriptures are the people of the scriptures. And Lou White believed that nobody should teach, except if you're not saying that the Jews are the people of the scriptures, then nobody should teach about the people of the scriptures. That if you're teaching about the people of the scriptures, which is hypocrisy, that if you're teaching about the people of the scriptures, being who they are, then you are possessed by a demon. That's the Lou White doctrine, you see. The scriptures makes it clear that for a person to be accepted by Yahuwah, then that person must accept Yahuwah, accept his instructions, and accept his people, his nation. You see, the scriptures make that very clear. So you can't deny the people, but somehow say that you accept Yahuwah. Because Yahuwah is not dysfunctional like that. Yahuwah is not a person that's going to allow somebody to come in his house and say, listen, Father, I hate your children, but I love you, and I will stay here and I will love on you, but them things over there, I just hate them. Yahuwah is not going to allow that, you see. And that's what Lou White teach, you see. Lou White, he don't have a problem with the Jews being the people, but the moment you start talking about the truth about the people, he have a problem with it. And he says that you are possessed with demons, And so he's not, that's why I say he's not a good example. But certainly, Akut, you are correct that Yahuwah would use people of other nations to provoke his people to jealousy. And he have done that. Time and time again. Praise Yahuwah. Praise Father Akut. All right. Well, once again, family, it's getting late. I don't want to hold you any longer. And of course, I'm gonna have to get myself to bed also. I want to say to you for your patience in spite of the technical difficulties that we experienced, and for your participation, and for your questions, and for your comments, and for your great involvement. I want to say to you all. Love and appreciate you all, and may Yahuwah just continue to pour himself into us. I'm going to prepare to close out here. Praise Yahuwah indeed. Akut, Carmen, praise Yahuwah. So we're going to close out, and Yahuwah willing, will be look forward to seeing you all on Shabbat. So we're going to pray as we close out. Abba Yahuwah, we thank and praise you for this time, for this opportunity. Say Tudah for your word, Tudah for your knowledge, your wisdom, your encouragement, and your shalom. We pray, Yahuwah, that you would just continue to pour yourself into us and to lead us. And let us not lean on our own understanding, but in all our ways may we acknowledge you. And as you promised, you said that you would direct your path. Pray, Yahuwah, that you would continue to awaken your people and let your love flourish in our hearts. Father, I pray that we would be a people who love in word and in deed, that we would be a people who are true, that we would be a people who love truth, a people who are not filled with hate, not filled with bias, Yahuwah, but a people who love you and love those who love you and who love your truth. And so we pray for your barakah over our households, over our families. May you continue to guide us in your way. Keep us in this week, I pray, and bring us together again on Shabbat. In Yahusha's name. Aman. Halal Yahuwah. Praise Yahuah. Well, family, Lela Tub to you, Aki Trevin. Love and appreciate you all, Mashpaka. And have a wonderful, wonderful week in Yahuah. I'm going to prepare to sign off here. And looking forward, family, to seeing you all on Shabbat. Shalom.